Okay. Let's see if I can put you here. That makes sense. Upper right hand corner. So it should be streaming through shortly. Hey guys, we're checking in today. Just doing a quick mic check to make sure you can hear me. And we also have one of the guys from the council, Adam. He's actually on with us today. Adam, just make sure you can do a mic check so everybody can hear you. Make sure they can hear you.
Can you guys hear me all right?
I'm going to raise the Skype volume. How's our volume going? Can you hear me okay? Looking for responses in the chat room. In the chat.
There's normally a significant lag.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm assuming that you all can hear me pretty well. Sound
okay. Yeah, so let me just move my mic. Maybe that'll help. Hopefully that's a little better.
Yeah. So Adam is low. Okay. It's very silent. Let me see if I can pause and see if you can do a quick test. This is our first time doing a Skype / YouTube live stream. Guys, I'm not the best. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm learning as we go.
So Damon, maybe check the inputs on OBS and add a new audio input for Skype.
Yeah, I think that's
so that my audio isn't going through your speakers and then into your microphone and then to YouTube.
Yeah, I probably have to do that the next time, because if I play around with this thing, I'll probably cut you off.
Yeah, I'm definitely not in a space shuttle, guys, just so you know.
Yes, Ace is quiet, but we can hear you. So what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and...
Maybe I'll just get a little closer to my mic. That's sun, man.
Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do today, guys, is go through the typical agenda that we do, just covering the market, and then we'll do a recap on the event down in Medellin, and specifically talking about the new ATM machine, the Project Genesis, and also we'll discuss the wallets, the iOS wallets, and LPC merchandise. Today may be the first day that you all are able to see. Well, I don't know, you don't see me. That's weird. Well, you're not able to see me today. Let me see if I can do a quick pause, because I have on the LPC shirts. I have on the LPC merchandise today, but hey, I can show you the picture that we have on our Twitter page. But here we go. We're going to cover the general market and then move into LPC, LGS. Today we've had a big move in terms of the overall market cap at 124 billion. That was up. I think the low where we were between this week and last week was at 102, 103 billion. Just going into the global charts and looking at where the price action has been going over these past few months and where we're trending now. Just looking at it, we've hit a low, well, excuse me, of 100 billion, and that was the low where we were last week, just actually 4 days ago, and we've gone from roughly 100 all the way up to 125 billion for the overall market. We see for the most part that we had a capitulation. We hit a low, and now it looks as if compared to this previous high and this previous high, we have higher highs and higher lows in terms of the overall market cap. We also had an increase in the volume as well, and that's pretty good. I'm not quite sure if this is just a reaction rally, but we are seeing higher highs and some higher highs and higher lows in terms of the daily closes. So I don't know if this is the symmetric portion, because I think I was talking about that right around here, and then we would see a movement upwards, but I'm not quite sure if this is an upwards. The symmetric half of this descending wedge, what we have here in the price action. But who knows what's going to happen over the next few days. We're experiencing just a small pullback right now to like 120, 123, 123. It was up to 128 earlier this morning. But let's see if we're able to consolidate at this point and move forward. It would be a great Christmas if we're able to make that push. But this could be a sign that indicates that we're getting ready to move into a phase where we're going to see much more capital inflows based upon what's happening actually today. Some of you may or may not know, if I can get this thing to pause here, that the Fed is on track for an interest rate hike, and that's the meeting, the end of the meeting. Meeting started yesterday with the Federal Reserve. They're actually going to make the decision to increase the interest rate. So some people arguing, nah, well, the President of the United States has argued not to increase the rates, the interest rates, but it looks as if the Fed, being the Fed and being independent of the government, and for most of you who may not know, the Federal Reserve is not actually a government organization. It's actually a set of private banks, but yet it's the case they dictate the interest rates. So it's the case that they are looking to increase the interest rate for December, and I think last time we had an interest rate, we had about a 10% jump in the market, particularly for I think it was LPC at the time, but there was an overall positive push into the market. So maybe perhaps this is the decoupling of what we're seeing happening in the equities market, whereby the equities are beginning to take a dive, and you're beginning to see some of the commodities, in a sense like silver and gold, and in our sense, if you consider it in the CFTC, they consider Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as commodities. We're seeing a movement, a positive movement in price action. But that's good to see that we're moving in a positive direction nonetheless. Just taking a look at Bitcoin at 3,800. Earlier in the week it was at 3132, and now it's at 38, getting ready to test around that 4,000 mark, which has been some a historic price point for resistance. But let's look at where LPC is, LightPay coin. LightPay coin right now is experiencing a 35% increase as compared to yesterday. I think it was around 41, 42 cents. It's always a good sign to see where, relative to Bitcoin, we're also making a 26% gain as well. If you were to look at the trends, gainers and losers, I think we're probably on that list as the biggest gainers and losers. Yeah, there we are. So we have one of the, on a 24-hour period, we have one of the largest gains in all of the cryptocurrency market. Say in the past hour, let's see where we are. We're at number 7 in the past hour with an increase of about 13%. On a 7-day comparative, I'm not quite sure where we are. Lotus coin is there, but we're not on a 7-week gain because we've had a 100% increase over the past couple weeks, and I think we've had a pretty good run. But as I mentioned before, in terms of the past 24 hours, we're at 80,000 in terms of the volume, and 35% in terms of 35% in terms of 24-hour increase as well. And where are we? I'm looking for LGS. So let's go to LGS. Logis Coin has made a surprise move as well, up almost 23% to the upside in terms of its comparison to USD, 14.43% increase compared to Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin is increasing, we're also seeing a corresponding increase as well with LGS and LPC. And we're gaining much faster than LPC and LG. It's gaining much faster than Bitcoins because we still have a positive price movement at Logis Coin. Nice to see it break above $1. We'd like to see LPC break above $1 as well, and make some positive moves in that direction. But let's look to see where we are in terms of coin market cap, not coin market cap, but masternodes online. LPC roughly it's showing us at 56 cents. 2,974 masternodes. That's pretty good where we are. We're 26 masternodes away from breaking that historic 3,000 mark. This is historic in its own right in terms of the number of nodes that are available in the market. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're number 10 in the space with a $2.6 million market cap and $558 per masternode. I think that's great. We're still lagging a little bit behind Polis and Gen Coin as well. But I think we're in a pretty good position in terms of what the market has been doing as of late, because we've been able to pretty much, excuse me, did that the wrong way. We're pretty much in a decent position with LPC being at roughly 58 cents. Logis Coin roughly at $1. With over 1,000, it's broken over 1,000 in terms of the masternodes with 371% return on investment. Each masternode is roughly $1,000 a piece. So that's where we are in terms of the general market conditions, which we're moving in a positive direction overall with the increase in our market cap. Bitcoin is doing relatively well. Everyone's in the green for the most part. It was odd to see even Tether considering, but everything's in the green for the most part. Looking at what the market is doing right now. So I would love to have some rallies like this every day for the next year and a half. I think this may be the beginning of a good ride. So I'll take a quick pause to see if there are any questions or comments that where we're moving right now. Okay, any questions or any comments you want to make, Adam, at all? I'll be quiet for a bit so you can get some things in and address some questions. Can you hear me, Adam? Whoa.
Sorry, my mic was on mute. I was talking, you couldn't hear me. So the only question I see in the chat has to do with how many ATM pre-orders we have at this time. Is that something that we're going to touch on?
Sure. I'll speak to that now. In terms of the pre-orders, I sent out some documents. Let me see. I'll see if I can pull it up now. I'll go here, images, actions here, documentation, and I'll click on this one. This is validating. These are the instructions for validating an LPC LPC address for point of sale ATM discount. These are the instructions that I sent out to everyone, and I'll put it up. I'll more than likely put this up on Exchange webpage. So this is like the instructions. Only I think 6 or 7 people have gone through the process of validating their LPC LGS address for the ATM discount. There have been like 2 or 3 other people who have expressed an interest in making the purchase for the pre-orders for the ATM. And I would encourage you all, and I'll pin this within the channel, and also it looks as if on the next update that we're going to do on the Exchange website, I'll post it along as well, so you all can go through the process of validating for the purchase. So
sorry, you mind if I interject real quick?
Sure.
So you were talking about the discounts. Is there a stated amount off the MSRP that discount will be?
So it's based upon our rate that we have with CoinLogis, and there's some things that we worked out with them. But then it's the case that the CoinLogis team will be communicating, and will actually communicate that out to the community. But you have to go through this process first to go through. So the steps are, you have to be able to sign a message, and then we would be able to validate the message as well. So this talks through the process of what you would do in order to validate the message, and actually as well for making the pre-orders on shirts, for the polo shirts, and I'll show you all that in a moment. What we're going to go through. You'll send in your public key address, your name, your address, and what shirt you would like to order. So at this point, the rate is 40 USD. Just make that conversion to LPC, and then I'll send the address out, and I'll also make a guide on how you would go through the process of ordering shirts. But it's the exact same thing like this as well, being able to make a signature with your public key, identify who you are, and send the email to pre-order for the LPC shirts once we get there. But this is the process that you must follow for the pre-order. But then it looks like there's 6 people who've actually gone through and verified, but then there are another 2 or 3 who expressed interest in making purchases making pre-orders. So that's where we are on that. On the next issue, let me see what other questions.
The other question was regarding partners for purchasing the ATMs. If that's something that we can talk about, I believe that has to do with the Project Genesis.
Sure. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Yeah, actually, that's the next set of issues that we're going to be covering here. So let me see if I can go to CoinLogis. Yeah. So
by the way, is it pronounced CoinLogis with the Q or CoinLogic? I had assumed it was CoinLogic.
Well, I think you can talk to Dwayne and the folks over at CoinLogic. I think at the end of the day, when I was in Colombia and I was at the hotel and I was saying, okay, the CoinLogic, and they would say CoinLogis. That's the way that one person said it to me. I'm not quite sure. It could be pronunciation. You could say Medellin or Medellin. It depends on where you are. Potato, potato. At the end of the day, I think we can. They have a unique name spelling, and I think we can interpret it how we can. So here we are on this event. No, I don't think I want to translate. I'll move you to the side. There we go. The CoinLogis collab that happened. Just to do a recap. All of the individuals here spoke. We had the CEO of CoinLogic, and I'll pronounce it just as Adam suggests here, CoinLogics, and then myself, Dash, the CEO and co-founder of DAX, the exchange that's in Latin America. This is the blockchain center as well, and then Ivan Correa, who was with Manticora Capital and one of the ambassadors for NIM. This collaboration was talking about all the different things that the different projects have done and what we'll be doing for the upcoming year, and also to reveal the new ATM machine design and some of its functionality and capabilities as well. The new machine, I don't know if you all have seen the official mock-up for the device, and this is what you would pre-order. So this device is actually called the Gladiator. So the
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, it's the Gladiator. It has, and I think talking about the Gladiator and Project Genesis at the same time makes a little bit of sense. For the Project Genesis is the partnership of moving the ATMs into the country of Venezuela all across the nation, so that people can begin to purchase cryptocurrencies, because Venezuela is officially a cryptocurrency country. They moved over to a cryptocurrency. It's not on the machines, but it's the case here. It's shown that we have LightPay coin. You see LightPay coin, you see Dash, you see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Binance coin on the Gladiator. Within Project Genesis, the Gladiator will be distributed across the country. So in this particular case, every citizen will be able to insert a debit card that's connected to the banks within Venezuela and be able to purchase and download cryptocurrency onto their debit cards within countries. So you could have LightPay coin on a debit card, Dash, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Binance coin on the debit card within the country of Venezuela. So it's the case that this device is being able to facilitate transactions in LPC onto a debit card. To what point the Gladiator will be integrated or be functional with banks outside of Venezuela, where they'll be able to interact and have debit and OPC or any of the other cryptocurrencies on a debit card, I'm not quite sure. But what I do know, based upon what was mentioned at the collaboration event, is that in Venezuela, the citizens will be able to purchase any of the cryptocurrencies that are on the ATM machines, have them loaded to their debit cards, and at the same time have some verification of identity on the devices, with the device as well. So with the Gladiator, which is different from the machine that I showed in the office, and I'll talk over the next few webinars about the current functionality of the machine and the machine that we have in office versus the Gladiator. But with this new machine, it will be able to do biometric verification of the individual making the purchase. So you're talking about fingerprint scans of information. I'm not quite sure if they're doing facial recognition as well, but I'll have to get more details on it. But what I do know is that for the Gladiator, you can pre-order the Gladiator now. You can pre-order these in addition to the older version of the ATM that we currently have in office, and by the 26th on or before the 26th of January, all of the ATMs CoinLogix currently has, they will be updated. The ATMs will be updated with the new software that will contain the new interface containing LightPay coin, Dash, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Binance coin. So that's where we are in terms of the Gladiator, how it fits into the larger project of Project Genesis within Venezuela that will be distributed around the country. So I'll take a quick pause to see if there are questions as well.
Yeah, so the Gladiator, that is if we refer to our ATMs, we're referring to these Gladiator machines, correct?
Yes, and our ATMs will have the Light Pay Coin branding on the outside. So anyone making the purchase for the Light Pay Coin ATMs, it will have our branding on it. So in general, CoinLogic sells a white label solution where they can put anything they want on the outside. But it's the case. Ours will be branded with Light Pay Coin.
So the software update will allow anyone to use an external API that Exchange is creating in order to fill all the wallets on the machine, correct?
Long-term vision. Yes, that's the long-term vision. Since we've just announced the partnership, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, the planning for the development of the back end where ATM owners can manage or refill the cryptocurrencies on the device. That's XPays. That's in the intermediate term goals for XPay, where someone can log in, link to their masternode. If a masternode is already linked to the LPC wallet, then at a click of a button, the rewards from the masternodes can be exchanged on the XPay interface, and then the funds, and once again, these are funds owned by the ATM owner sending the LPC, and it will be immediately exchanged and sent to the wallets to refill. So it's the owner's own funds in LPC being sent on XPay, not on the ATM machine, on XPay to receive the appropriate amount of cryptocurrency to fill the wallets that sit within the ATM. So it's just a way in which it will provide another form of liquidity for ATM owners from LPC, if that makes sense.
Yes. So currently, when the machines ship, they will have wallets for every coin that they offer. So anyone that wants to sell these coins will need to fill the wallets initially, correct?
Right now, the way it's currently configured, you would log on to a CoinLogis interface, and then you would fill the local wallets with the currencies on that machine. So it's a manual process that the way it's done now. But
Right.
then
And
yes, and
Exchange is working on the software to automate that using LPC masternodes.
yes. So and there's a process of building APIs as well, and we discussed some portion of that when I was talking to the team in Medellin before the conference. So having open up the APIs where we'd be able to make those calls and those sends back and forth. Um, so let me
All
see.
right. So Project Genesis, that's the big push into Venezuela.
Yes.
So the ATMs that are going to be ordered for Project Genesis, are they going to be LPC branded or not?
Not unless someone purchases the LPC from within the community, probably not, but it's the case that it will have LPC on it for purchase.
Right. So if we get any pre-orders for Project Genesis, I say if Project Genesis gets any pre-orders and they want to supply LPC initially, even though it's not branded LPC's ATM, they will still need to purchase LPC to preload it, correct?
Yes.
So even those sales will be affecting our volume.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Unless there's some OTC purchases going on of LPC that I don't know about.
Right. But even those ATMs being available with LPC on them will have an effect on our volume and the market in general. I'm just stating this for the community at large to clarify the current situation, how things went in Colombia, and how things are shaping up in Venezuela.
Sure. And on all valid questions.
Back to you, David.
Okay. I think I did see. a question. All the gladiators will have LPC as base coin for purchases, and that's Jacob, on the XPay platform where people own the ATMs. They will be able to take their LPC that they currently have in their wallets and then exchange into any of the other currencies that will be sent to the local wallets. So that's the way in which the volume and the liquidity will be provided to the ATM owners, but that's through the XPay interface. If that's something that CoinLogis decides to integrate and provide to all their other ATM owners, we're totally open to that. But that's where we are right now in terms of our current planning. That LPC will be that base currency through which the ATM owners with masternodes connected, funds paying to the masternode, will be able to take LPC and then refill the local wallets with LPC.
Right, and just to clarify, currently with the current version of the wallet, you are able to set up a multi-send where you can divert your masternode rewards to any LPC address, including an ATM's wallet address. So you can already set it up so that your nodes would fill up your ATM's LPC wallet.
Correct. So I don't know if you want to do a video on that, Adam, but it would be greatly appreciated if you could, or have someone.
Yeah, I'll do a video on how to multi-send. I've been meaning to.
Sure. And at the same time, we'll be doing a video this week on how to set up a masternode that will be translated. First, how to purchase LPC, then how to set up a masternode and manage it from the we're going to do that for some of the folks in Latin America who want a translated version from beginning to end. So once you purchase the LPC on exchange, be able to send it to a wallet, either going send it to your XIO, doing one click, sending it to Jen to set up a masternode, or walking through the manual process that we currently have. And I think, Adam, you've done videos on that already too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like there's some excitement about the video. And if anyone in the community has the ability and the desire to do a write-up for that video once it does come out and translate it into other languages, that would be helpful as well. Get the community behind that. There is one question, Damon, regarding POS devices. Is the Project Genesis push, is that including POS devices in the push to get crypto in there?
Yes, and to speak on that a little bit more, with the POS devices, will depend on the BAs who are on the ground in Venezuela to really help to push the POS, because it needs to be, LPC needs to be used in businesses. I don't know if you all caught the news earlier, but right now I think it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. They're being used in Venezuela, and they're taking Dash. Dash shouldn't be the only cryptocurrency that's that you can buy chicken with. I like chicken, obviously, but I'd like to be able to purchase some chicken with LPC. So. I like chicken too. So I think we should have the BAs definitely take a lot of, not necessarily a lot of responsibility, but to help us to really push on the ground and get it into businesses. We'll set up an incentive structure for using LPC in businesses with the POS devices, because that's really the next phase. A lot of people will begin to adopt the cryptocurrency to the degree that the stores actually accept it. So having the POS is pushed into the different businesses across Venezuela, that's a major goal. First, I think the first thing is being able to get the ATMs across the country and get mass penetration with the ATMs. So if we have like 1,000, 2,000 CoinLogis, be able to get those 5 or even 10,000 ATM machines on the ground, then it's the case you have no problem with the people getting access to our currency or any of the other currencies that are on the device. and then being able to have it on their debit cards, and then be able to walk into a store, or a grocery store like the Walmart parallel in Venezuela. I don't know the name of it, but having them accept crypto as well, and then use their debit cards and be able to, or the debit card on the point of sale device to extract, to make the purchase in LPC. But one step at a time, guys. I think getting into Venezuela is great. CoinVelogis is a great partner for us to be able to help make that happen, and as a result, we're going to be pushing with them into other geographies. So as I mentioned before, there are a few countries that we're aggressively moving into for the 2019. I won't say anything about it now because we're going to have a lot of speculation, and people say, oh, it's a fraud, it's a scam, without them being able to get some type of proof. But it's the case that we're making aggressive moves into other countries, and we'll be making those announcements shortly when things are finalized and in place. So I've known about this for a while, but it's the case formally recognized as the Project Genesis. That wasn't announced until the collaboration event that we had in Medellin. So there are a lot of things that are really pushing, and I'm anxious to tell you, but at the same time, I have to temper my excitement.
All right, so a couple questions. Just to address your question, Jacob, the POS and the ATMs. So Project Genesis is behind this. So it's not our directive, but the way I understand it is get ATMs with LPC on them into Venezuela first, get them a way to buy the coins, and then we'll give them a place to spend them at. Regarding ATMs first, POS second. Why only Venezuela? That's CoinLogic. So they're based in Colombia. They're opening up shop in Venezuela. So that's them spreading internationally. Let's see. There's some legal hurdles. Right. So legal hurdles in Venezuela. I personally don't know much about that, but I do know that CoinLogic, their operation, this whole Project Genesis, it's all on the up and up. It's 100% legal. The government knows about it. That's my understanding.
Yes. So if there are any other questions as well, just feel free to send us in the chat, or like if you have them, I'll think I'll go over a couple more points, and then we could address any of the other questions we have. So it was a great event. We were able to interact with a lot of different projects. The exchanges, as I mentioned earlier, NIM, they were there. Dash, they were there. And it was the case, CoinLogic, and they have a large community. In terms of countries, Colombia is one of the largest crypto countries in the world. I didn't know that. Largest crypto community, has one of the largest cryptocurrency communities in the world. I didn't know that until we were actually on the ground and having interaction with the people there. So I think it's a great place to be. If it's the case we can make a big push into other countries like Korea. I know that Jay is there, and Colin, and they're in Asia Pacific in general. Colin's in China. But with Jay making a harder push, perhaps we should have him on at a certain time to give us an update in terms of what's happening in that part of the world. But we are making progress. We are, as I mentioned before, the Gladiator is available for pre-order on the 26th. On or before the 26th, all ATMs on CoinLogic machines will be updated with LPC. And at the same time, we'll continue to push out. I'm looking to have, and right now the soft date is around the 15th or so, for the all masternode owners and proof of stake owners being able to get on to XPay. And there will be a wide variety of functionality on the XPay site, but we're just building out the initial set of wallets, interface to the ATM machines, and maybe a few games, some assessments you can take to find out what's your personality, things like that. Buying merchandise. as well. For instance, like the shirts or the hats or the sweaters and things like that. Let's begin to start branding and pushing really hard for LPCs. So when people see the logo or different framings of the logo, they'll know, hey, that's LPC. And that leads me to my next point. If you all want to purchase the shirts, let me see. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to Twitter. If you all want to purchase the shirts, any of the polo shirts, let me know in advance what you'd like to, what size you would like, and actually the color scheme. I like the logo. The color scheme the logo is currently in. If we have another stock, the new logo, and would like to brand those too and get those out, let me know. 40 USD. That's the mark where we have for the purchase of the polo shirts. We'll have the pricing of the other, like the Scullies or the jackets or things like that. And just note, guys, I'm not the only one who can do this. If you feel that you can be competitive and bring a nice quality polo shirt with a great logo, all under 40, that's shipping included, that's fine. Let's go for it. This is how things evolve. Competition, survival of the fittest. I'm the first one out, so maybe I'll be the first one to get slaughtered. But at the same time, it's here. We've done it. But then let me know, and then I'll put it in that order. So it's going to take about 3 weeks for your shirt to come in, but then it will be delivered to you. I'm looking to see if I can negotiate something with the manufacturer where they can place some devices that we can start tracking. So that begins to pull in Logis coins, so we'll be able to integrate some aspects around that tracking as well. I really want to pull everything together. It's coming together slowly but surely, and I would need to depend on you all to help in that process as well. So being able to either purchase shirts or purchase ATMs, purchase point of sale devices, we want to have all of that into the XPay site so you can make those purchases there. Development is happening. I'm only able to do so much myself. I know Adam, he's looking and he's smiling, but get ready, because you're getting repository access today for XPay and coming on in and helping us out. But it's and anyone else who wants to do development work, that repository is not open to the public. But it's the case, and maybe at some point there'll be some things that we do release, but we want to have that on a private repository for the proof of the people who have validated as either proof of stake or masternode owners, being able to have access to that site. So you gotta have LPC. You have to have contributed, or LPC or LGS. You have to have contributed to the network in order to get access to that site. And we got one of the high-speed, low-drag cybersecurity guys in the space, and he's going to make sure it's locked down really tight. Because lately, he's been just gray hatting on some exchanges and revealing a few things. So he's going to make sure that we have a solid platform. But if you want to purchase the shirts, it's 40 USD. I'll send out the address, and then you let me know what color you want, color and size. And then at the same time, if you want a Scully, let me know too, and we'll get that out. Next point, wallets. iOS wallets. But let me pause to see if there are questions.
All right, couple questions. So ATMs, when will more documentation come out so that the community at large can start taking that information to advertise, to say, I want to go down to my local gas station and say, hey, you guys need an ATM. When can we get that information?
Sure. What I have right now, and I don't know if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it or not. Maybe not on my screen. But I do have a CoinLogis pamphlet. It's in English. It's in Spanish, and it needs to be translated. So I was kind of anticipating that we would need to translate a lot of the materials that they have and for CoinLogis from Spanish into English, and then be able to distribute that out to the community so that they can, in a sense, help to get these ATMs across the world. So that's something that I've already taken the responsibility on, of getting the current pamphlet that's in Spanish with the Gladiator on it translated into English. So good question, but yes, it's in progress.
Okay. And translating that's something, if you want, Damon, I can get the VAs started on as soon as you'd like. Following questions. Are you really selling the t-shirt for fiat money? The answer is no. We are selling them for LPC, but we have to reference the price in US dollars. We could reference it in Bitcoin and sats.
Yes. So I'm glad you emphasized that point. So that gets us to the aspects of money. The unit of account is USD. The medium of exchange is LPC. So US dollar, because it is somewhat stable. I'm not saying it is the most stable, considering that it's been inflated 2% every year since like roughly 1917 or so. But it is a stable unit of account. But the medium of exchange will be an LPC. So you take LPC, denominate it, and you find out what's the corresponding USD, and then you send that amount of LPC, the medium, and sending it over our blockchain to the address in order to make the purchase. So I'll send out details today on you all being able to make that purchase, and the process, similar to the validated instructions for LPC address for the point of sale, will be the same set of instructions for making the purchase. But here, instead of the message, you will actually put in the transaction ID that you, from the address that you've sent the funds, and you put in the transaction ID and your contact information, and you sign it and send it to pre-order. We'll build out the forms as we move along, but that's the process that we're going to follow now. So you'll have a transaction that's on the blockchain, a verified message with the transaction ID, with the address, and there will be a signature that was signed with the private key associated with the public key address in order to make that purchase. But so now we're moving into the phase where we're making purchases with LPC. We're actually being used, and that same goes for the purchase of the ATMs as well. Making purchase in BTC or in LPC. The one in the office, we made the purchase with BTC, but it's the case that we'll start translating where we set BTC and LPC as well for making those purchases.
Okay, one question for me, Damon. That brochure, can you post a PDF scan of that for us to translate?
Sure, I'll post it today. If the camera was on me, I have to figure that out.
Yeah,
we'll do it for the next one.
It does. I can see it. So that's the question. PR regarding the wallet rollout.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So when we get the say we get a new desktop wallet, we've got the iOS wallet. Once we get a Eurex, their web wallet, are we going to do any sort of a PR push around the new wallet releases?
Yes, we will. As a matter of fact, this starting now and the next few months, you're going to see a lot of different press releases from us. The main thing, and here's one of the reasons why we haven't done a lot of press releases to date. In a down market, anytime a press release is done, it tends not to have the impact that it would in either an otherwise flat or bull market. So, for instance, if a press release was made, say, in October when the market was still bearish, and it's actually still somewhat bearish today,
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any solid signals that we've turned into a bull. This could perhaps be a reaction rally, or it could be the beginning of a bull rally. Who knows? Um, but for the most part, during a bear market, sending out press releases might not have its intended impact. And for instance, when we made the announcement of CoinLogis and LPC and the new user interface was rolled out, we had a 100% increase in our price, in the nominal coin price. Just imagine if that was during a bull market, if we were in a bull run, and it's the case, we probably would have gone maybe 10, maybe 5 to 10x, but we only had 100x in a bear market when the overall market was really testing all-time lows for the year. Same thing with BTC as well. So in a bear market, we made an announcement. We had a 100% increase in LPC. But just imagine if that announcement was made during a bull market. So I'm thinking as the market begins to turn, we're having more and more press releases, and I think January first part of 2019, we'll be in a position, especially with the release of the back exchange. That is Wall Street introducing cryptocurrency to the world. I think that will begin to spur on the bull market. That's just my opinion. Do your own research, and it's not financial advice at all. But I do think making more and more press releases when we're in a bull market puts us in a very solid position. So you're going to see a lot more press releases about everything. The wallets, EuroXIO, Lumina, CoinLogis, UCF as well. Any of the upgrades and advances that we make for LPC on XPay. We're going to push all of that out. Y'all are going to be sick. Say, hey, there's an announcement like every other press release every other week. Yes, it's a part of being us building the brand.
Please don't mute our channel. Let the notifications come through. So, as far as wallets go and all of that, something I've been wondering about, is there going to be any sort of an API built, like a Java or a C++ or whatever API, so that we, developers like myself, can create a website and easily plug in to allow for transactions and purchases in LPC? Is that something that your X or Exchange is going to be getting into?
No, that's us. We already have documentation, and perhaps it's my bad for not even making an announcement about it, but we do have documentation for the for our testnet, LPC testnet. And I'll post the, please remind me today if you don't have it, Adam, or just hit me up on Signal. I'll post that today for people who want to start building on LPC, the LPC blockchain. Once you are familiar with the testnet and able to build your applications, you can just port it over because the APIs are the exact same. The only thing that you're changing is just the ports. You're just changing the ports that you're getting access to for testnet versus the mainnet. So I'll send that out, and right now in LPC on the XPay site, we've already started some of those integrations into mainnet for LPC. That's where I was mentioning earlier about having access to the wallets and being able to interact and exchange funds, because that's a necessary condition. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. Let me post that today. It's about a 17-page document, but it's relatively nice pictures and everything like that. So it's pretty easy to get through.
All right. So if you're all listening, that means that all you developers out there and anyone that has any qualms with us accepting fiat for merch, make us a web-based store. Do something that allows for LPC purchases. Let's get this community run. Ahmed, you had a question regarding discounts. So, Damon, if I verify a message to you for the discount, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can then use that discount to purchase as many ATMs as I want, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Forever. And I'm not quite sure. I'll have to touch bases with CoinLogis, the team over there. DG1, DG2. That's Dwayne Golden Senior, Dwayne Golden Junior, and Lucas and all those guys to see what incentives can be added as well for folks within the LPC community actually going out and really pushing and selling these ATMs. Perhaps there's a commission in it of sorts, but let me work on that part. But yes, you can. There's no limit in terms of the number of ATMs that you can buy. If you're able to get a relationship with a bank, I.E. Bank of America, and say, hey guys, there's a term getting ready to happen. Here's our vision. Our vision is to put ATMs, cryptocurrency ATMs, all around the United States. Would you like to buy, say, 20,000?
Yeah, that would be great.
There's nothing stopping anyone in this community from doing that. Same thing with the point of sale device. There's nothing stopping anyone at this point, but I'm quite sure they would say, do you have a brochure? Can I see a demo? And that's a part of this, getting the brochure translated into English, having the Gladiator out and functional, having our ATMs updated with the software, the one that we have currently in office, and being able to demo the device. So it's one of the things. Once that on or before the 26th, we should have that update, and there should not be any reason for anyone in the community going to any organization. Because I think, for instance, if you're a company and you want to give bonuses to people in your organization for doing, say, you set a task for the day and say, hey, if anyone accomplishes these tasks and meet the goal, then we're going to give you LPC that day. Then they can just go down to the local ATM machine and just cash out, or they can hold it. So I think that it's a great way in which you could have a local bank on premise for a company. That is the ATM being a way in which you could immediately reward employees working within the organization. They accomplish the goal, immediately get paid in LPC. They can either keep it, go downstairs, cash out if they want on the ATM.
All right, and going along with that, we talked a little bit about the API. If I recall correctly, you can also do some smart contract programming on our blockchain. Is that correct?
At this point, there's no smart contract programming, but it's the case that you can program that in the Turing complete language that sits within the application that you're using. For instance, Coinbase is a site that's all Django. So Django is the web framework for Python, the programming language, the same language that was used to build Google, same language that was used to build YouTube. So it's a very robust production-grade language. You can build in some conditions within the application of Django, and it's a pretty solid framework. Not necessarily a smart contract on a blockchain, but yet it's the case that if you're able to build in the APIs where the logics within the Turing complete language, like Python, C, C++, Java, whatever, triggers the sending or the authorization and sending of LPC once a condition is met, then it's the case. That's the way in which it could be done. Or you could go on and say integrate with a platform like NIM, where it has some smart contracting capabilities, but then move back over to have it send via LPC or Ethereum. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. But yes, those are ways in which it doesn't have to be an all-out rip just using a single platform. So you can mix and match, even coming from some of the old, integrating some of the old technology with the new. But yes, that's a good question. But that's my response.
So you mentioned the new software rollout is on the 26th or thereabouts. So to address one of the questions that was asked earlier, as soon as that happens, we'll be able to do a webinar or a video. We'll have some walkthrough demos of how the software works and tracking a transaction for LPC across the ATM. So once we get the software update rolled out, that's when we'll be able to get those videos out. The top of the screen, Damon, on the ATMs, that can display dynamic video, correct?
Yes, dynamic video, images. It's meant primarily for advertising.
Right, and also for the help desk support, right?
There's a video camera where the help desk support will be able to view the person at the machine and have interaction with them via cell phone. So the communication will be via cell phone, but the visual will be through the camera that's on the device.
Right, okay. And as you all know, all ATMs have cameras on them anyway, so that's standard. There is one more question, Damon, and this is something that I've actually been trying to address myself. There's one specific user, but I believe there's a couple other people that are likely affected. The Linux wallet, they're having regular segmentation errors in the memory for that. Is that being looked at directly?
I've been able to look into it. I've been able to verify. I've passed it over to Vlad to be able to start doing some of that programming work. And just to be honest, he hasn't made progress on it as he should. So that's something, again, I can continue to urge him to make edits to it. But then that's something that's really in his court. I can continue to just emphasize it to him over and over again. But yes, I think that was Jan. We've communicated back and forth, and I think there's been some resistance to making it up, but it is a legitimate concern. So the Linux wallet needs to be fixed. Yes, it needs to be fixed. I'm on your side, Jan. Say if there's a problem with our software, fix it. So I don't want to be in a position where we're coming back like 4 or 5 months from now. Hey guys, you haven't fixed the Linux wallet at all. So it's something that we've been looking to. It's on my list of priorities to emphasize. But then Vlad maintains most of that code for updating that Linux, the Linux version of the wallet. So it's the case. I'll constantly emphasize to him that it needs to be fixed and updated.
Right. So it is being addressed. We are going to fix it. And I am in no way saying that the community has any sort of responsibility for LPC's code base, but if anybody can look at is that code up on the repository, Damon?
Yes, yes it is. So anybody can fork it. Anybody can do a test and do a pull request. You'd have to send the pull request to Vlad. So you can go to where the code is. You can pull it down, fork it, make the edits, build a couple unit tests for it, make sure the unit tests work. Tag me in the pull request, tag Vlad, and my GitHub ID is Xanthic, and you can pull Vlad. Now here's this perlock. Tag both of us in the pull request. Tag me for the review. Tag perlock for the review. It's the case that I'll review it, and here's the process. I'll review it, give it a check, say yes, it works. Vlad will review it. He'll give it a check, say yes, it works. But then it's the responsibility of Vlad or Perlock to be able to push that code into production so that everyone else can be able to download it from the GitHub repository. So that's just an explanation. Didn't think it was necessary that much, but I think you should know what the process is like. Anyone can fork it. Anyone can make edits to it. Anyone can make modifications, but you'd have to do the pull request. Add me as a reviewer. Add Vlad as a reviewer. Then I review it, check. Vlad reviews it, check, and then Vlad will have to make the push because he actually manages the repository. I can't make that push into production.
Right. Okay. So and just to clarify, that's just for the Linux wallet. That this doesn't affect anything. Doesn't affect the blockchain. We're not talking about forking the chain, forking the coin. Nothing. This is just the Linux wallet. And I don't see any more questions right now, Damon.
Yes. All right. So, great. ATMs in Europe soon. Yes. If we have some buyers in Europe who would like to purchase some, yes. I think in Germany, I didn't realize this, but Germany has the second largest number of masternodes for LPC.
Oh wow.
606. I think 650 and some change. I was surprised.
There's probably just one guy sitting up there in his big mansion.
Could be. We have them in South Africa. We have them in Canada. We have them in Russia, China, Yugoslavia, UK. Dude, there's a nice little list you can check on matchingthose.online. We're all over. Not that many. I didn't see any from South America, but I know they're there. So I don't know exactly how they're keeping up with the addresses. Maybe that's all that are being tracked on masternodes.online. But I'm surprised. So anyone willing to make the purchase and move into Europe, yes, you can go. There's also I saw Django is way old and clunky. Django's solid. Basically the most of the distributions of a lot of the blockchains. They don't necessarily depend on Django, but they have for the peer-to-peer communication. It's they're using Flask, which is Python based as well. Partner announcements.
Yeah, so during the convention, you said that there was going to be a big partner announcement, and people are wondering if that's what they think it is.
That's what they think it is. Okay, which one?
There's been some people noticing that you mentioned.
Sure. Yeah, I know there were some things that were mentioned as well. I did speak out of line. But it's the case that the respective parties will be making their announcements. I'm gonna do it like this right now. I'm kind of like zipping my mouth because there's a lot of good news, great news. As you see right now, there's things that were mentioned during the collaboration as well, and even what you see on the ATMs when you see Binance Coin and you see LPC sitting right beside Binance Coin and Dash and Bitcoin, that gives you some sense of what's happening. Not necessarily our partnership, but collaboratively with CoinLogic and its set of partners. Because I say their partners are our partners are their partners. Kind of like with the Italians, my friend is your friend, your enemy is my enemy. But it's the case. I think we're in a good position where we're building more and more partnerships, but I'm not going to steal the thunder of our partners who are making their big announcements. As I mentioned earlier, the partners are now going to make more and more announcements. I've heard information about, well, I think day before yesterday, where partners saying, yeah, now the board has authorized the announcement of A, B, C, D. So it's the case they're going to move on their pace, kind of like with UCF. But they're coming, guys. Let's just be excited. It's coming. I'm in a position now where I am not going to intentionally deceive you and run you down a track and run you up a chain to say, hey, this is happening, and it doesn't happen. Perhaps it doesn't happen on the timeline that we expect, but it's going to happen. I'm on the up and up with you guys, and I think after a good 6 months, I think we've been pretty much on the up and up. So it's the case that we're hitting our targets. We're moving fast. There are people who've launched blockchains 2 years ago who haven't delivered a product. There are people who launched blockchains, say 3 years ago, who are just now at the point where they're announcing a partnership. I think we've been moving at a tremendous speed, and there are some things, although we set the goal high, we didn't meet the goal, but yet it's the case we still landed on the mountain. Like, say, for instance, just doing the reveal in Dallas. The machine was there, software hadn't been updated. Going to Medellin, having the announcement of Project Genesis, being there, seeing the release of the Gladiator, which I didn't necessarily know about the hardware portion of it, but then the software, it's something that's happened and been guaranteed. That was the 24th, on or before the 24th or the end of January. That will be updated on all ATMs worldwide. So going into Venezuela is one thing. Being on all the ATMs moving worldwide is another thing. Moving into other markets or other countries, that I know will excite you, being able to help those countries, helping Venezuela, helping moving into Argentina, moving into Zimbabwe, going to the other places. But I want to have the proper framework in place for us to formally make those announcements and just don't throw things out on a whim. So you got bits and pieces of it, but just bear with me. I can hold on to so much. I want to have the solid framework, the partners in place to where the partners will be able to speak. I can throw things out now that may not necessarily have any validation. You just have to trust me. But then after 2 or 3 days, you have people coming out, oh, he's a liar. This is not happening. Bye-bye, LPC. But guys, in time it will come. So I just want you all to just bear with us as we move through this, but we're moving much faster than a lot of different projects, even though that's at the sacrifice of some others as well.
Yeah, so we're about 12 minutes over the hour mark, but I want to reaffirm that we're going to be on ATMs in Venezuela, and there are no other ATMs for crypto in Venezuela that I'm aware of. We're on ATMs next to Dash, BNB, Litecoin, Bitcoin. So, I mean, fame by association, we're doing pretty well. And I have another an ICO that I actually invested in a year ago, literally a year ago, and they're still on testnet. So we're doing great.
Yes, and now I like that phrase that you said. Guilt by association with multi-billion-dollar projects. We have to. Some people say that you are the aggregate of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. With that said, if you just look at the next rollout of the interface and being on the ATM, there's Dash is one, Bitcoin is another, Ethereum is another, Litecoin is one, and Binance as well. Guys, I think we're in a pretty good crowd. We're a small project, and I think we can do more. So I'm not going to be content, but at the same time, I think we're in good company. CoinLogis has been good to us, and I think we're going to be good to them to the degree that the either BAs or master node owners or proof of stake confirmation node owners are able to get out in the community, let people know about LPC. So letting people know about what we can do, where we are, the exchanges that we're on, the things that we're building. I think we've made great progress, and this has been with I don't want to say a ragtag group, but a very small team. We don't have the budgets that Ethereum has or Dash has to actually put and pay and have somebody sitting on the ground 24/7 where all they're focusing on is getting into Kentucky Fried Chicken. We don't have that yet, but yet it's the case. I think we'll be in a position where we can compete on a day-to-day basis everywhere our competitors are, and at the same time going where they are not. So I do appreciate the time. I know we're almost a quarter past, but let's push, guys. I thank everybody for joining the call, getting the updates on the market, the Gladiator, Project Genesis, iOS wallet. I didn't talk too much about it, but download it, see if you can break it, and we'll roll out the official version in the next say week or so, couple weeks, to the extent that we get positive feedback about the wallet. Let me know if you want the polo shirt. If you want the polo shirt, let me know what color you want. It's 40 USD. Go through the same process that you did for the validating your address. Put the transaction ID in it and put your mailing address in there. You don't have to send me your name. All you can do is you can send me your public key, and then when I send it to you in the mail, it's going to have your public key and then your home mailing address where you'll receive your shirt. I think the postal service will look at that kind of funny, but hey, this is a new world. Let's begin to make it happen. All right, guys. Thanks for your time. If there are any other questions, I'll let Adam close it out.
All right. I don't see any more questions, so make it a great day. Have a great week, folks. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for your time. Take care.